Welcome to Inner Peace Better Health, where healing meets honesty. I am your host, Shreya, and today's guest is Robert B. Foster, coach, speaker, and the host of Shut Up and Grind. With over 300 interviews and his own story of grit and growth, Robert teaches us that peace isn't found in perfection, it's found in the power of your truth. Let's talk about storytelling not just as a way to connect, but as a path to inner peace. So, welcome, Robert. Honored to have you on my show.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yes. And, Robert, what role does storytelling play in personal healing, especially when we are struggling with self doubt or shame?
Yeah, it plays a huge role. Like it means everything. Like how you view a situation is gonna drive how you react to it. So if something bad is going on in your life and you just focus on the bad, you're never gonna get past it. So everybody goes through something at some point, but you can either stay in that place of pain or you can find a way to turn that pain into something purposeful.
Yes, I fully agree with you. And was there a specific story of your own that changed your entire path?
Yeah, so in 2009, I had a bad knee injury, and I was
Okay.
told I was never gonna run or jump again. And that was tough to hear, of course, because
Mhm.
I manage a gym, I'm into fitness, I'm into sports, doing obstacle races. Well, actually, no, I didn't find obstacle races till after that.
Yeah.
But just dwelling on that, it hit pretty hard at first because like I'm an active person, I'm a father. And I just went kind of into that negative place at first because I'm just as
Yeah.
human as everyone else, right? So I went to that negative place, thinking all of the negative what ifs. But then I was like, wait a second, like we haven't even had the surgery yet.
Mhm.
So I was like, how does he know I'm not going to run or jump again? We don't know that. Like when people have to have surgery after an arm break, the surgeons they reset the bone, but then
Mhm.
they put a cast on you, and the body heals itself, right?
Okay.
So it's not like they do the actual healing part. Like they do the stitching you back together, but then the body heals. So it's like this guy can't know how I'm gonna heal from this. And so each day I didn't focus on his words. I focused on my own expectation. So like every day it was like speaking it into existence. Like I'm going to run again. I'm going to jump again. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make that outcome happen.
Yes, so often we just wait to fix ourselves before we speak, but sometimes telling the truth to ourselves fixes us. And that's so beautiful. And also you have interviewed hundreds of people who have overcome massive odds in their life. So what patterns have you seen in how people reclaim their power through their story?
Yeah. So first thing I want to mention is that people deal with struggles differently, right? But the
Mhm.
path to reclaiming your power, what I learned just today, I did my 363rd episode. And then
Okay.
right after that, I guested on another one. So I have a huge sample size of information here. And it people it takes people different lengths of time to get to this place. But you have to get to the place to where you're like, you know what? I have to take control, right? Because
Yes.
people want other people to come and save them. Like other people can't save you. You can take all the advice in the world from as many people as you want to, but you have to make the decision that I'm not going to let this continue to hurt. And once people get to that place, everything changes. And this isn't just conjecture. This is stuff I've done. I've been there. I've done it. It's like I
Yes.
felt the pain. I've been in the dark place. It's like I deal with struggles constantly. But hearing everyone pretty much say that same story, and I've had guests from all over the world. So whether it was Thailand, Argentina, South Africa, Ireland, India, like literally all over the world. And at some point in the conversation, everyone has stated, I need to change something, or I'm not going to accept this, or I don't want this anymore. So the quicker you can get to that place, doesn't matter what road you take, but it takes getting to that place where you take control, and that's where you're going to pull yourself out of that pain cave.
Yes, yes. And congratulations for your mark that you have completed 363 episodes, you have said?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations for that. And I just hope that you keep doing that and help many people. And also, what surprised you the most from this conversation, like you had with your guests?
What surprises me the most, I really wouldn't say surprise, because at this point I've interviewed so many people that I wouldn't even say it surprises me. Is just how you can have one topic and 100 different points of view. It's like sometimes, like every few months, I'll put together a panel, and it's usually 6 of my former guests plus myself. And so now we have 7 different opinions. And excuse me. So like the last one I did was on embracing vulnerability. So you have 6 of us, well, 6 others plus myself speaking on one topic, and we all come at it from a different angle. It's like I always tell
Okay.
people, when they're seeking advice, right, don't take advice from just one person. Like
Mm.
that doctor that said I would never run or jump again. That's one person. That's one person's point of view. There's 9 billion people on this planet, and I'm gonna listen to air as human. Let me see. Sorry, I just realized I didn't plug in my internet. I don't want it to freeze up on you. All right. Yeah, and so I always get second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions. It's like I don't just take one person's opinion. If you're working with one person, you're only getting that one person's experience.
Mm.
And there's lots of different angles to look at something. Going back to the panels that I do, like there was one I did. I think there were a full 7 of us on this one. How to pick yourself back up when life knocks you down, and then there were 7 different points of view for people to choose from, and then you go through and you pick out the one that speaks to you.
Yes. And whenever someone shares their mess and their stories, it doesn't make them weaker. It just makes everyone braver who are listening, and I think everyone. And also, many people fear that their story is either too messy or too small. How do you help people honor their narrative without comparison?
All right, so I'll point you to a coaching call I did with three women. One survived a stroke in a heart attack at the age of 34. One at the age of 21 watched her high school sweetheart take his life. Like she watched it happen. And the third one, she grew up in the city. Dad got a different job, and they moved out to the country, and she fell in love with nature. And she wanted to bring like an outdoor learning kind of environment into urban areas. And so as the first 2 were talking, sharing out their stories, the third one was like, I can't compete with either one of those, because they're focused on the what. It's not about what happened. It's about what you do in spite of what happened. And so as I got the gist of her story, I was like, so you grew up in the city. You guys were kind of just above low income. Other kids had stuff that you didn't have. Your father gets blessed with a new job. You guys move out into the country. You fall in love with nature, and you could have just stayed in that environment, right? You could have just stayed there. You're in your happy place, but you didn't want that. You wanted to give back because you wanted those other kids to enjoy what you were enjoying. I was like, and that is amazing. Like, it doesn't have to be, I was gonna off myself and I pulled myself out of it, or I survived cancer, or something. It doesn't have to be like that. Like the fact that you did a very unselfish act so that other kids can have something that they normally wouldn't have. I'm like, that is huge. So it's helping people find the bigger meanings within their stories. It's like that's what storytelling is all about. It's not like I suffered and this is how I got through it. Like it doesn't have to be that. So I helped her to see right there in real time that you're sitting on an amazing story, but you're downplaying it. And that's what we do in life. in life. We downplay the significance of the things that we've gone through. And for whatever reason, whether it's societal pressure, whether it's social media, whether it's parental pressure, like it doesn't matter where the pressure comes from. At some point, you just have to sit down and figure out what you want your life to be, regardless of what you've been through. And you take that pain and use that pain to push you to your ultimate destination.
Yes, I fully agree with you. And I think you don't always need a dramatic plot twist to be so powerful. Clarity sometimes comes when you just tell the truth of yourself and not when you try to impress others. And you just say that
Yes,
so beautifully with the story. And what is
yes.
the first step someone can take to start owning their own story?
Acceptance. Acceptance is the very first step. Like what happened, happened. It can't unhappen it, you know. So you got to learn from it. And one thing I've noticed on this journey of interviewing people and being interviewed myself is that pain is pain. Okay, what caused the pain doesn't matter. Right, the steps to heal from it, that's what matters, and that's where the power is in the story. So whether I was learning to run and jump again, like last fall my mother beat breast cancer. There's a woman who's 9 months pregnant, ankles are swollen, back hurts, baby sitting on her bladder, right? Like those are three different levels, but the steps to recovery are all the same. So you have to wake up every day and you have to do what's necessary to get through that day. Whether your goal is beating cancer, whether your goal is running again, or your goal is to deliver a healthy baby and recover as quickly as possible, right? So we get stuck in the middle because we're stuck on the what. Like this happened to me. Okay, this happened to you, but you're still here. It didn't break you. So tell the story about how what you went through didn't break you. Like on my show, I have a background, and on top it says your true power lies in your story. Right.
Okay.
So if I just came on here and just spoke about all the bad things that I've gone through, or all the painful things I've gone through, your audience is going to tune out. Because it's not about that. It's not about the setback. It's about the comeback.
Yes. Yes. I think I've just said that so powerfully, and you, all of your words hold a power. I just realized. And also, let's talk about the grind. What is the
Yes.
difference between grinding with purpose and grinding to avoid feeling?
Okay. So there's three things: idea, goal, vision. Okay, those are
Okay.
three different levels, and I'll use a fitness example since I've managed a gym. So an idea is I want to get healthier, right? It's very vague, you know, and that doesn't move anybody. Okay, a goal would be I want to lose 20 pounds, right? So that's a goal, but there's still no action behind it. A vision is 1 year from now, I want to get on that cruise ship, lying by the pool in my bikini, feeling confident, turning heads again, and just walking, feeling very yeah, confident and comfortable in my skin. Right now, that's something that you can envision. If you can envision it, you can feel it. And then when you feel it, you can believe it. And then once you believe it, it makes it easier to do it.
Yeah, yes, you just answer that so beautifully. And I think peace isn't the opposite of growth, it's what fuels the sustainable success. And how do you recognize when your hustle is becoming a distraction instead of a tool?
Mine doesn't become a distraction. Not now because I have clarity. Maybe in the beginning, it did. It was just about work, work, work. Because you only know what you know, right? And so
Yes.
you only grow when you learn new stuff. So coming out of the restaurant industry is like I knew how to manage a corporate business. I didn't really know how to personal brand myself.
Hmm.
But so instead of just accepting, oh, I don't know this, I went and I learned it. I joined masterminds. This was prior to COVID. I joined mastermind groups. I got a business coach, and I learned the things that I needed to know. And along the journey, yeah, that fell on my face many times, and that's why I can get on these platforms I can confidently speak about what I've gone through. And I don't tell people you have to do exactly what I did, but I'm just letting you know what I did so you know it's possible. Because like I've hit the bottom of the bottom. I've been there. I told you, I've been in that pain cave, in that dark place. And you can watch all the motivational videos you want to. You can like I said, you can seek advice from all different sources, whatever, but you got to get to that point to where you're like, I'm done with this. Like I'm done. And then once you're done, you're gonna start seeing the doors open that you want. Cause I tell people, when you're in the fire, you can't see the fire. So if you're
Okay.
in the fire, that means you gotta keep going. Right? You gotta keep going through it. And then once you're to that other side, like your outlook on life is going to completely change. Like I said, if you keep, yeah. So, and that's like when people are stuck in struggle, that's what it's like. And I always use the fire as an example, because if you were on fire and I happen to be walking by, would you want me to help you put out the fire? Right? It's like you want to get from problem to solution as quickly as possible, but people stay in the middle, and that's where that struggle bus is, because they stay in the middle. So as soon as you can get that fire out, now the path to healing begins.
Yes, yes. You just said so, so, so beautifully, and it's wonderful to hear from you. And also, in your experience, what shifts when someone starts speaking from their scars instead of their wounds?
Yeah, so it's okay to revisit the what, as long as you don't stay there, because that's where you're gonna pick up the teachable moments. Like I always talk about watching my father die, and like I said, I was on a show before this one, and the guy was asking me about it. He's like, how did you pick up the pieces after your father passed away? And I said, there were no pieces to pick up. I said, because I mentally prepared for it. It's like when he got sick. I mean, he was 79. So when he got sick, I was like, okay, this is a solid possibility that his time is coming up. Now, does it suck that he's not here? Absolutely, yes, it does. But in the time, it it was one of those things, like, I was ready for. It's like I've accepted the fact that death is a part of life, right? It's coming for all of us, right? Death is undefeated, so it's coming for all of us. So in those moments, like in watching him, like I'll never unsee his last seconds of life. Like that
Yeah.
image is burned into my brain. But if I stay there, I'm never gonna heal from it. So the story actually starts when we left the room. That's when the story started. Because I remember I had my oldest son and my oldest daughter arm in arm, as we believe in. Everybody's crying. But from that moment on, that's where the power in the story is. Because yes, we lost him. We watched him take his last breath, but our lives still had to continue. And how were you able to go to work the next day? I had a podcast scheduled that was, she booked 4 months prior to his passing. And that episode, the very next day, was on grief. Like who would have thought it would have felt like that? Because at first I was gonna cancel it, but I always talk about showing up. I'm like, you got to show up. Like
Mhm.
regardless of what goes on in your life, you got to show up. And so I showed up. I did a tribute to him in the beginning. I bawled my eyes out right on the live stream, and it is what it is. Like the sooner you face the pain head on, the sooner you face it, the steps to healing can begin. So it's not like I was immediately over it. Like there are times now where I look at his photos and I'm like, God, I wish I could hear this dude's voice again. But it's one of those things that when those feelings arise, like he still has a Facebook page up. Like I said, there's pictures in this room of him where I can just look at him, look at his smile, and it'll bring me back to a memory. Like
Yeah.
I was 45 when he passed away. I was 45, so I have a 45-year sample of memories that I can go through. So when those feelings of sadness come in, you want the opposite. Like I want happy memories, and
Mm.
then like you can almost bring yourself back to that moment. Like I'll never forget a family reunion we had. He had his hat on backwards. He's got his New York Giants shirt on, drink in his hand, and just acting a fool on the dance floor. So like in those moments of sadness, You want
Yeah.
happiness and joy. It's like I got to experience that. And then on the other side, there were people that I know in life and people that I've interviewed on the podcast that never knew their father. So it's like
Mhm.
I had mine for 45 years, so I can come to it from a place of gratitude instead of a place of sadness.
Yes, yes. And I think you were such a great storyteller. The way you said everything, the with the energy and with the smile, you have said some really complex and bravest thing of life. It's so commendable. And I think also that shift from pain to power is where the real peace begins to bloom. And
Yeah.
also, how can that shift support deeper self-worth and mental well-being?
Well, yeah, because like I said, we are the sum of the stories that we tell ourselves. So, like, if you
Hmm.
tell yourself you're stupid, if you tell yourself you're ugly, if you tell yourself you're not worthy, you're gonna start believing it. But on the other side, if you tell yourself, you know what, I belong. You know what, I can do this. I can be successful at this. Like, I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna rock that stage. And you start telling yourself these positive affirmations. It's like people think it's cliche, but it's true. It's true. Like if you think you're worthless, then you're gonna carry yourself like you're worthless. But if you think I can enact change in this world, like I'm gonna launch a program next month on my birthday that's gonna help veterans tell their stories of PTSD. And why I chose that, right? Because I never served, but my grandfather did. My brother and my sister did, my uncle did, and my father is a Vietnam war veteran, and my grandfather is a World War II veteran. And so I remember I had to do a report on World War II, and I went to my grandfather, and he spent like 3 hours with me talking about his time in the war. I had to do a report on Vietnam, and my dad wanted nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing. Just and wouldn't watch movies about Vietnam, nothing. So it wasn't until a month before he passed, we were up at the VA, the Veterans Affairs Office, and he was applying for benefits, in case of his passing, so that my mother could get survivors benefits. But in order to apply, you had to tell your story of PTSD. And when I tell you, my dad was a manly man. Like the only time we saw him get emotional was at funerals. And so the woman comes in and she's like, all right, so what's your PTSD? Just very like nonchalant, like you can tell she does that all day. But at first my father refused to talk. He's like, no, no, no. He's like, I can't do this. Like, I'm not doing this. And I was like that. Like, we're here now. Right? Just take your time. When you're ready, share what you gotta share. And so he put his head down, and it's like I'll never forget this moment, but I see tears start to hit the table. And so now I'm starting to get emotional because I've never seen this man get emotional like that before. But then he picks his head up, and I'm not gonna say what he shared, but then he just started sharing. And the most heart wrenching part of that was he kept that in for 6 decades. You know what I mean? He lived with that pain. So when I created this course that really can help anyone struggling with anything, but I wanted to zero in on that group because I can
Mm.
speak to that group and I can speak about the pain that my father went through and the way he held that stuff in and how I don't want anyone else to have to deal with that. If you were deployed or even domestic, and if you went through a horrible experience, I can help take them through it, pluck out those teachable moments. Because the more you talk about something, you heal more and more. More like say, go back to when my dad first passed. I couldn't get through any part of that story without choking up. And I was like, I almost did a couple times here, but I'm in more control of it now because I've told the story so many times. But in the beginning, it's painful, and people don't want to feel that pain again. But the more you
Mhm.
tell your story, the easier it gets.
Yes, yes. I think you are a wonderful person. The way you shared all your plethora of knowledge and your experience and the way of your storytelling, it's so amazing. And if after this my listeners want to connect with you, then what's the best way?
Yeah, so the best way on social media, I'm most active on Facebook, and it's just at Robert B. Foster. And then Instagram is Robert_B_Foster. And then my website, robertbfoster.com, which I actually have a free download from my book. So my book's got 13 worksheets in it. And the free download is prioritizing yourself without the guilt. So you can find me in those places. Oh, and my podcast is also called Shut Up and Grind. So you can find that on any of the podcast platforms.
Yes, yes. And I will make sure to attach all the details and links below so that the listeners can find them easily and get in touch with you because you're a wonderful person, as I have just said. And to all my listeners, your story matters. Not because it's perfect, but because it's yours. Robert reminds us that inner peace isn't the absence of struggle, it's the ownership of your truth. Tell your story. Let it set you free. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and keep healing one word at a time.